Hello and welcome everyone, this is Calebovitsch coming to you with another Flesh and Blood video. This is going to be part 2 of the Oldhim draft guide, card evaluations. And let's start at the top with the headpiece. I know that the chance for you, the probability of you opening up a legendary in draft is rather small, but I wish you all the best of luck to do that. But once you do, once you are lucky enough to open up a legendary in draft, is it good enough to play them? The answer is usually yes. But let's start at the top with Crown of Seeds. Earth Equipment Head. So it can be played by Oldhim, it can be played by Briar, once per turn instant. Pay 1 resource, put a face down card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck. Draw a card and prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to your hero this turn. I would say this card is amazing, especially for Oldhim, but it is even better than that. I remember playing in Classic Constructed with Oldhim. Crown of Seeds was probably the best card in my deck. Not only do you have additional prevention shields, especially against arcane damage, but also you can bump up your resource count by paying 1, getting rid of an arsenal card, and drawing a card that has more, that gives you more resources than the one that you've paid. So it can get you ahead on resources, it can get you ahead on damage, it can get rid of some cards that just stuck in the arsenal, etc. In other words, it is amazing. Next piece is the chest piece, Heart of Ice. Once per turn action. It can be worn by Oldhim or Lexi. Once per turn action, pay 1 resource. Cards and activated abilities cost opposing heroes an additional resource this turn. Go again. This is only good against another Oldhim using this ability. You usually want to play it for the Arcane Barrier one. This is the only card in this draft format that has Arcane Barrier. There is one legendary piece of equipment, the Shock Charmers, that have Spell Void. But given that you are usually paying resources to prevent damage coming to you, Arcane Barrier just fits in that plan really, really well. And speaking of paying resources to prevent damage coming to you, Rampart of the Ram's Head. It is an offhand shield. I mean, it doesn't have, say, shield, it just says offhand. That blocks for 0. Whenever you defend with Rampart of the Ram's Head, you may pay 1 resource. If you do, it gains +1 block until the end of turn. It doesn't have Blade Break, it doesn't have Battle Worn, it doesn't have Temper, it doesn't have any other abilities that they will probably come up with. No. Every single turn you can pay 1 resource to prevent 1 damage. Well, if you're lucky enough to combine that with Crown of Seeds, that's like obvious. But your defense reactions costs 2, and it is really easy to combine that. Also, this gets rid of all the 4 damage breakpoints from lightning decks, and all around this comes in really, really handy, with your fatigue plan, because you're just paying resources to prevent damage, which is much better for that plan than using cards defensively to prevent damage. But alright, let's go to the common slots. We have Plume of Evergrowth, Earth Equipment Head, instant, 3 resources, destroy this, return target Earth action card or Earth instant card from your graveyard to your hand. Which is amazing if you consider Oldhim's ability, because you can pitch any blue, get back an Earth blue to your hand, and use your ability prevents the next 2 damage coming to you. So quite good indeed. Coat of Frost, Ice Equipment Chest, action destroy this, create a Frostbite token under target hero's control, go again. Helps you pivoting on some turns. So if you know that you will need to start regaining initiative, just go for the coat. It is going to mess up your opponent's plans more often than not. Rotten Old Buckler, not as good as Rampart, because it is a 1 defense shield with Blade Break, but having a Rotten Old Buckler means that you start on 21 health. Also, Rotten Old Buckler is your best line of defense against Blue Ball Lightning. Yes, it's not called a ball lightning that is blue. It is a blue ball lightning because it attacks for 1, but if it comes through, then you receive another point of damage, so technically it blocks 2 damage on blue ball lightning. From these 3, I would say Plume is best, Code is second, and you will get Rotten Old Buckler. If someone opens it, it will wheel to you, unless there's like 5 Oldhims on your pod. Ragamuffin's Hat is... It kind of is. The other 2 Earth heads are so much better. You usually don't want to pick this one too high. Deep Blue. Yes, putting a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck to gain 3 resources once per game is really good. Especially it allows you to swing back with some of your red 3 costing attacks for 7. But I believe it is much better to just have a lot of blue earth and blue ice cards in your deck than just play deep blue. But that's probably me. Crackerjacks is a fun piece of equipment. Action, destroy this. The next attack action you play this turn gains +1 attack, go again. If you have Crackerjacks, you want to be playing Thumbs. Plain and simple. Because it pumps your Thumb, and your Thumb has Dominate and makes your opponents discard a card, which is amazing. So Crackerjacks, for some strategies, I might say that it could be higher than Deep Blue. You won't open both in the same pack, but sometimes I would prefer to have a Crackerjacks over Deep Blue. Sometimes, not always. And you can call me crazy, sure. I've been called that many a time. Runaways. Instant. Destroy this, prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to your hero this turn. Activate this ability only if your hero has been dealt damage this turn. Given the fact that it does nothing in the mirror match, and not all decks are going on Go Again. For example, not all Lexi decks are just Go Wide, some of them are Go Tall. If you have this, fine. If you don't have this, shrug. Seriously. Okay, let's get down to Majestics then. If I open up a Winter's Wail, then I will probably try to force Guardian. It is another one-handed hammer. And this one says once per turn action, pay 3 resources, attack. It attacks for 4. So it already has Titan's Fist ability activated. And it has something on top of it as well. If an ice card is pitched this way, Winter's Wail gains, if this hits a hero, create a Frostbite token under their control. It is so much better. On the other hand, you want some ice cards with that. So if you open this up, if you're lucky enough to open this, and you force Guardian, then you want both blue ice cards and you want blue earth cards. And you just want cards that block for 3, and you're all set. And that's your deck. It doesn't matter what those cards do. It only matters how much they pitch for and how much they block for. And the rest, seriously, this takes care of it all. It just takes like half an hour, but it does exactly that. Pulse of Eisenloft. Ice Earth Defense Reaction, which means only Oldhim can play it. It's also a legendary, so you can only have 1 in your deck, but if you open up 2, you're still happy. It's a defense reaction for 6, and it says Ice, Earth, and Elemental action cards have +1 defense while defending this turn. It's also blue Ice, Earth. What more do you need? And now for an interesting fact that comes from the fabtcg.com Collector Center. Both Winter's Wail and Pulse of Eisenloft have a 60% lower probability of appearing in their rarity slot, which means you are much less likely to open up a Winter's Wail than any of the other Majestics I would like to talk about. Also, if you've opened up some boxes, you probably notice that you have fewer weapons and fewer pulses than the other Majestics, and that's because their print runs are much lower on your average sheet. So that means you won't be opening this one up that much, that often. You will not be using the pack 1, pick 1 Winter Swale to force a Guardian that often, but if you do, you'll thank me later. All right, let's move on through the other Majestics, because it's already taking a while. Tear Asunder, blue, already high pick. Your next Guardian attack this turn gains +1 attack, dominate, and if this hits a hero, they discard 2 cards and obviously go again. It is a setup card. It is usually either getting pitched to attack with your weapon, or blocks for 3, or it goes to your arsenal, and you can set it up with another attack. And, well, if the opponent has to discard 2 cards, they usually don't have a huge turn. So it is really great and really amazing. Exposed to the elements, the elemental instant that can be earth and or ice fuse. So this is the only one I'm not talking about, Fulminate or the last one, or Flash Freeze. If this is fused with an earth card, put a -1 counter on target equipment. If this was fused with an ice card, destroy an equipment with 0 defense controlled by target hero unless they pay 2 resources. Given that there are not a lot of equipments and they're usually one-offs, you don't want to play it. Plain and simple. It's also an instant. It doesn't block. The only saving grace, it is blue. If you're low on blues, you pick it. And that's the only reason. Tome of Harvests, earth action, blue. You already want to pick it very high. As an additional cost to play this, put a card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck, draw 3 cards, go again. This effect can stay, can go. You want to play this card because it's a blue earth. Plain and simple. Channel Mount Heroic. Go again. Attack action cards you control have +3 attack. But it is red. So you won't be maximizing it because your attacks don't have go again. So it's not really an Oldhim card. It's an insane Briar card. Literally. Well, maybe not literally, but figuratively, it's an insane Briar card. But other than that, for Oldhim, I don't think so. Blizzard, a blue ice card, ice instant. Target attack loses and can't gain go again unless the attacking hero pays 2 resources. Blue ice already fits in well with the Oldhim plan, especially if you have Winter Swale over here. This ability comes in handy sometimes, especially against Briar, sometimes against Lexi. If I have enough blues, I would take it out for the Oldhim Mirror. But aside from that, I mean, all the blue cards already have staying power for this deck. So yeah, like Channel Lake Frigid, Blue Ice, already keeper, blocks for 3, amazing. And it also has the ability of cards and activated abilities cost opposing heroes an additional resource, but you need to pitch a lot of ice cards to use it. All right, last 3 cards here. Awakening. The Elemental Guardian instant. It is blue, that's good. It doesn't block, that's bad. But the ability is good enough that you want to play it. If you have less health than the opposing hero, create Seismic Surge tokens equal to the difference. Seismic Surge gets triggered at the beginning of your turn and makes each Seismic Surge makes your next Guardian attack cost 1 less. If Awakening was fused, and it has Earth Fusion, instead create twice that many Seismic Surge tokens. A lot. Also, search your deck for a Guardian attack action card with cost less than or equal to the number of Seismic Surge tokens you control, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle your deck. So, you create enough Surge tokens and search for an attack. Remember, those attacks cost at least 3. And you know you can play that attack for free. What more do you need? So it is good. It doesn't block, but aside from that, it is really amazing. Oakenold, red attack, costs 3 attacks for 7. Sure. Earth and Ice, so already a very good baseline as your attack. Earth and Ice fusion, so you have to fuse with both. If this was fused, it gains +2 attack. Dominate, sounds nice. And if this hits a hero, they put 2 random cards from their hand on the bottom of their deck in any order. Random cards really messes up with their turn. 9 attack, dominate. You think Tear Asunder? Wait till you Arsenal Oakenold and just wait for a turn where you have a blue, an earth, and an ice, and voila, opponent dead. or rather really angry. So very good card. On the other side, we have Endless Winter. It is a red attack for 4, which makes it much difficult to cast because you need to pitch 2 cards unless you have fused Strength of Sequoia and you have a Seismic Surge token, etc., etc. Anyway, if this was fused with Ice, whenever the defending hero adds a defending card to this chain link, create a Frostbite token under their control. If this hits a hero until the end of their next turn, whenever they activate an ability, create a Frostbite token under their control. So it messes up your opponent's turn by a lot. Unless they have just one huge attack, then they shrug it off. So it doesn't work against another Guardian. It should work wonders against Lexi and against Briar. But it costs 4, so I wouldn't pick it that high. I mean, Oakenold? Sure. But then I think I would pick Awakening over Endless Winter because A, it's blue, and B, it is a great setup card. You can set it up with Terra Sunder and other things. And then I would pick up these blues and Terra Sunder, and obviously first pick here and legendaries are just self-explanatory. All right, let's go through the elemental cards now. Just a bit of setup. Okay, there we have it. All the elemental cards that Oldhim can pick and play in his deck. Now, I would like to ask you a question. Just take like 30 seconds, pause this video, and please let me know which 18 cards are the highest picks here. All right, 30 seconds is not up, but it is a really easy answer. All the blues. There is such a huge difference for Oldhim between a blue card and a yellow card and a red card. That's seriously. All the elementals. If you have a blue elemental card, you can trigger Oldhim's defense reaction. Earth cards, usually, blue earth cards, mean more than blue ice cards, unless you have Winter's Wail. Then blue ice cards and blue earth cards are, well, ice is slightly better, but still you want one of each. Okay? On the other hand, the red attacks for 7 here on Evergreen, on Autumn's Touch, on Break Ground, and 6 to 7 on Burgeoning are really good. These are on par with your Guardian attacks, so they are really fine there. Summerwood Shelter. Target defending earth or elemental action card gains +2, 3, or 4 defense. This is amazing. The red one is probably one of the few first picks above the red one above a blue one. Because it's not only a defense reaction, you can add that defense to an already defending card against a dominate attack. And that makes it that much better. Although you have to defend with an earth or elemental action card first. Now, which cards make the least sense here? I would have to say that both So Tomorrows that are not blue don't make a lot of sense, because you're going into fatigue already prepared. On the other hand, the blue one is your defense reaction, is your 3 pitch for your attacks, etc., etc. Earthlore Surge, sometimes, especially if you're playing the defensive game and you are going for turns where you block with 3 cards and just pitch a blue and attack with your hammer, one or the other, then Earthlore Surges, I mean, blue, okay. I will not pick out any blue cards from this because you want all the blue cards, especially elemental cards, okay? As far as the other 2 go, I would probably want them against another Guardian because I want to go taller than they are. And sometimes if I want a fusion, maybe. But Earthlore Surge, not that much. Weave Earth. The next Earth or Elemental attack action card you play this turn gains +1 to 3 attack. If it's fused, instead it gains +1 additional point of attack. This is much better in Briar. On the other hand, you can set up some bigger attacks, but you want to go big against other Guardians. Against Briars, you need to go for 2-card hands like pitch blue, attack for 7, or block with 3, pitch a blue, and attack with hammer, that you don't need those additional buffs. But the red attacks that attack for 7 with double breakpoints are really, really good, especially Autumn's Touches, because they naturally also defend for 3. This is the same with Winter's Grasp over here. They also defend for 3. The other ones defend for 2, unless they're instants, or items like Amulet of Ice, Amulet of Earth, or Summerwood Shelter. These do not defend on their own. Okay, so these two I wouldn't play. These two usually not. These two usually not, unless I'm playing the mirror match. The yellow ones are, unless you don't have enough blues, then you can kind of play them. When it comes to ice, I do not really think Frostfangs are that good. I mean, you could disagree with me, but I think there are better ones. Weave Ice. Okay, this one can give your attack Dominate, which makes it much better than Weave Earth. The next Ice or Elemental attack action card you play this turn gains +1, 2, or 3 attack. If it's fused, it gains Dominate. And if you can give Dominate to one of your bigger attacks, then it's fine. Icequake, also good. You don't really need Polar Blasts in these denominations. You don't really need Winter's Bites in these denominations. You really don't need Chill to the Bones in these denominations. And Icy Encounters, well, they do attack for 6. I mean, the red ones. But I believe your Guardian attacks are just much better because they're not really attacks, they're blocks. I mean, sure. Let's consider a yellow Icy Encounter. It costs 2, it attacks for 5. How is it better than pitching a blue and attacking for 4 with your hammer? It's the same breakpoint, 4 damage, 5 damage, but here you're losing a card. So unless you have some crafty plans of pitching this and an earth card as your defense reaction, then I wouldn't really go there. So all of that said means that amulets, even though they do not defend, they do not have any defense values, they are still good because they are blue and they are elemental cards. When it comes to these, when it comes to the pure elemental cards, they're not that great. I mean, the only exception would probably the red Entwine Earth because it attacks for 6, or if you Earth Fuse it, it attacks for 8. So that's a good breakpoint. That's a lot of damage. And yeah, there could be some argument for maybe playing a red Rejuvenate against a Briar deck, but I haven't tested that out yet, so it's just pure theory. Okay, this is already a very long video, so let me just run you through the Guardian cards and we'll finish up. Okay, so Embolden, cost 4, is a Guardian action aura, and sometimes it draws you a card. It makes your next Guardian attack action bigger, but it costs 4, which means unless it's turn 1, or turn 0 rather, and you're setting this up as your only play, it doesn't make that much sense. On the other hand, it blocks for 3, it has a cost of 3+, and if it's blue, you can still use it for your hammer. So a blue Embolden and blue of any of these actually already make a lot of sense. As I said, Oldhim needs a lot of blues. You'll know how many in part 3 decklist examples and numbers. But other than that, Embolden, you're usually not playing it. Thump makes sense if you're playing Embolden, if you're playing Strength of Sequoia or Emerging Avalanche, or if you have Cracker Jacks. Other than that, if I don't have any ways of bumping the Thump, I wouldn't be playing Thumps unless it's the blue one, because, as I said, it's the blue one, yada yada yada. Turn Timber, amazing defense reaction for 4, 5, or 6. When it's Earth Fuse, it gains additionally +2. Biting Gale, I'm not that huge fan of Biting Gale, honestly. If the blue one blocks for 2, and it has the fusion of when it's Ice Fused, the attacking hero discards a card unless they pay 2 resources. Maybe the red one. But I'm not really that keen on the red one. Yellow one, garbage. Blue one, you can pitch for resources. Red one, I would like it to be good. You need to have a ton of ice cards, and even then, it's usually mediocre. Strength and Avalanche, they can stay, they can go. They all block for 3, which makes them good. The blue ones pitch for 3, which makes them good. If you have thumps, then they're good. Other than that, you can have a successful Oldhim deck without any of these, and that's it. Entangle and Snow Under. These are the 3 cost attacks, which means the red ones attack for 7 for the double breakpoint, which means usually these are my high picks, as are Glacial Footsteps. It is really hard to play Glacial Footsteps, but once you get to the end game, the attack for 8, 9, or 10, with potential Dominate if you Ice Fuse it, is really the breaking point. Usually it is good to have like 2 copies of Glacial Footsteps in your deck, whatever the pitch value. As for these, Snow Unders and Entangles, red ones are good, blue ones are good. Mulch is difficult because Mulch costs 4. It has Earth Fusion. If this is fused, it gains, if this hits a hero, put a card from their arsenal on the bottom of their deck. And I think in Mulch's case, the yellow one is actually better than the red one, because it can pitch in for something like Turn Timbers, Biting Gales, the Auras, etc. If you are able to Earth Fuse Mulch and act it as a budget Command and Conquer, then it's really good. But I think Mulch is the weakest of the 4 Guardian attacks, 5 Guardian attacks, honestly. So once again, go for blues. The red ones with breakpoints are really good. Auras are a problem more often than not, and Thump needs a lot of setup. Turn Timber better than Biting Gale. And I hope this plethora of information is enough for you for today. Thank you very much for watching, and soon there will be episode 3. I will put up episode 3 called Deck List Examples and Numbers. Until next time, Calebovitsch out.